Hey guys, it's Mike here over in Taiwan. I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone, so don't mind me. I'm kind of like looking at two screens at the same time. Yeah, lots of stuff today. I was actually deciding to take a little bit of a break and relax. I had some very interesting lessons with some students. I actually was talking about some uh, ancient civilization in South America, so that was kind of fun and interesting. It was like one of the biggest cities at that time. I don't know if this is going to translate over to the subtitle, but Teotihuacan, which is an ancient city. They were actually chased out by some other civilization, and then they just kind of disappeared. But they have some really beautiful architecture. They have some pictograms on their kind of the walls and carvings and stuff. But people, I guess, from what it says in the book or something, they don't even know what that stuff means. But that's really interesting. I was like saying to one of my students about how nobody really learns from history because things happened 100 years ago that actually happened recently, and I won't really get into it. But obviously, everybody was locked in for a couple of years. And what if I told you that that exact same situation happened 100 years ago? Yeah, it was called the Spanish flu, but and they didn't even have like all this technology and all this stuff that we have today. So they basically just ran out into the bushes, ran out into the forest, and then just hoped that everything was going to just blow over until they came back home. So yeah, like I said, nobody really learns a lot about history. I was actually asking my student and challenging them to understand why like why we do things like go to outer space. I had a friend a long time ago, and I won't say his name, but he probably will never see this anyway. And he was saying about how why is it that we're going to places like outer space when down on the Earth we have all this poverty down here and we all have all these problems. And then I didn't realize until later like one of the things that we got from going out to outer space was we got the internet because obviously it was kind of connected with that technology. And because of that technology, then we're able to like get better technologies, right? So, basically everybody's like all into technology. And another interesting question that I had from my lesson was, does technology make us lazier or does it make us smarter? And I'm going to probably guarantee you that 9 times out of 10, most people are going to say that technology is making us lazier and lazier. And I was asking my student as well, what is going to happen when we are depending so much on technology that we're just basically laying back, and all of the labor jobs are being done by technology, all the driving jobs are being done by technology, and so what do, right? So, and I think really that's kind of the question at the end of the day. When that comes, there's a lot of people that probably might say that I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, and that's not necessarily the wisest decision to use your problems against, or like pretend it doesn't exist until the time arrives. And I don't know, but you might get yourself like kind of blindsided when it does come, because it's going to eventually come sooner or later, right? So it's kind of weird how the job market is. I don't know if this is necessarily related to what I'm talking about, but the job market, a lot of people are actually saying forget it to like tech jobs, engineering, stuff that was 10, 15 years ago was kind of like the gold mine for everything, but they're kind of focusing on stuff like trades. What are trades? Trades are like electrician, carpenter, mason, which is like the person that does bricklaying, carpentry, plumbing. There's all of these people that are retiring from these jobs, and like nobody's going to be able to take them, right? So now you got like these young people, and they have like no idea what they're doing and where they're going. So, eventually they have to make a choice, right? I think this probably is going to be talking about what I discuss with my students. What do I discuss with them, and their strange answers that they give me, which is really strange. I had this a bunch of young learners, their class, and I asked them, I think there's about maybe like 14, 15 of them, and what are you going to be when you grow up? And I had answers like teacher, I don't know, police officer, blah blah blah. And then I had a string of like these 3 students, and they said, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I almost regret teaching them that phrase, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, because now they're going to use that against me, I guess. But yeah, so that's what they said. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, right? And it's kind of like they're kind of getting into this really bad habit of not being able to make a decision. It's only since this is like my third or fourth time to come back to Asia, and now it's like the only time that I realize that not making a decision is a decision. When you just say I don't know, and you just sit there and you do nothing, time is passing by anyway. I used to have a very special friend of mine saying that everybody has their own time. And I really, really hate that saying, because, yeah, it's true that everybody has their own time, but time is passing by for us all together, right? And it's not to say necessarily that you should, lay back and sit on your laurels and just, wait for time to pass, because that's a decision, like I said. But if you keep doing that in your life, then eventually you're just going to be where you're at. There's this kind of funny thing about like Americans. I saw that Americans will live and end the days of their lives within a 3-kilometer radius of where they were born. What does that say to me? It means that they don't really go that far. They just maybe find a job, graduate from school, not necessarily in that order. And then they just kind of go out and do their things, right? And I mean, I'm from Canada, so Canada's like a really big country. And I really hate to, do exactly what that happened or whatever. Little kind of weird thing about me, I used to have some long distance relationships, and maybe this could kind of be some advice that I could give to somebody about something. Long distance relationships, I realize they don't really work. But this is just kind of like, hindsight is obviously 2020, right? But at the time, why is it that people, they get into long distance relationships? They feel like the pool of dating around them is very not up to their standard, or you go around and you're talking to people and they don't know what you mean. So you say, okay, well, I'm going to go online. I'm going to find some place that's really far away from me and find if somebody like really knows what I'm saying or whatever it is, right? And, you really don't know who this person is, but you reach out to them anyway. Maybe you have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 really great conversations about some topics. And, you just feel really special when you talk to them because they say the right things. Maybe they take you shopping. They introduce you to your friends. They say you're their online boyfriend or girlfriend. Which really means like nothing, like I was saying, because that connection can just be cut in 2 seconds, or like a wrong sent text, or maybe a wrong video, or maybe just ghosting. Ghosting is like I can't believe that people actually do that. There's actually supposed to be some type of a law in the Philippines or something right now where you ghost somebody and actually causes them like emotional pain. So, and I mean, that's not necessarily anything to say about them per se, but it's just the fact that rule does exist. It's weird. Getting back to relationships though, and does it work or not? I mean, I've been through it. So, and the thing is that what you're showing when you have this like long distance relationship thing is you're showing your best foot forward. You're showing, this is the best part of me. And that sounds, or with a nice filter or some makeup, and that's what they like. And then when you do like get together, then you have like this outpouring of emotion towards this person. You're like, oh wow, amazing. So all of these great things kind of just pour out to this person, and you feel really great about it. And then you have to leave. And then you stay away for another 3, 4, 5 months, and then you come back again and you have your long distance relationship. But then kind of the hard part about that whole thing though is that when you actually have to make it like a real thing, where like, okay, I'm going to come there, or you're going to come here. I'm going to start working online or whatever it is, and we're going to make this work. And some people, I mean, maybe it does work. Maybe you're lucky you're able to kind of, if it's in like the same place with the same language, I think maybe sometimes it gets a little bit better. I did know this guy, I think his name was Paul or something. And it was actually kind of funny because Paul had this friend, and his friend had kind of this very indirectly related woman, who he introduced to Paul. And his friend, I think his name is Dustin or something like that. It doesn't matter, but he said he was actually kind of had the hots for this girl. The hots, wow. But this was in Japan, so they're all in Japan, and it turns out that that girl actually like was really into Paul. So I don't know exactly what the details were, but she kind of like after a couple of months or whatever it was, she got up and left from Japan and then went to go study over in Arizona in the States. And that was wow. I didn't know, like, I don't know how I got all this information. I think it was Paul or that guy who told me all about it or whatever. So she ended up staying there for a while. And the thing about Paul is that he was like very independent. He was very like, he knew what he wanted. He was like doing his own things. He was actually, I think, a paramedic or something. This is probably too much information. But the problem was that eventually, I guess their plan was to move back to Japan and for him to kind of get a job or whatever it was over there. But the thing is that he didn't have a working visa to start off, and he didn't have a degree, which is like the go-to job for most foreigners is English teacher. And he wasn't able to do that. Eventually, I think he ran out of money or something, and he had to like go back to the States. I think he sold his car just to go to Japan, which was a really silly move on his part. But you know, it is what it is. The point is that I guess that what I'm trying to say is that one example of how long distance relationships don't work. And you know, people are all trying to make this type of connection. There's something there that's kind of missing. You know, I met so many people in the last like 10 years that I've been here in Taiwan. I was like over in a city in Fujian as well. And you know, it's weird how the people that you meet, they're so interesting. My ex-roommate, who will probably never see this video, like I said, he doesn't even know that I'm on social media, so I don't care. But so what he was doing was, here's a good story for you. So he had his girlfriend, whatever, and he moved over to that city over in where I was at, which was like in Fujian. And then they we got, I don't know what this update is. Okay, there's a wind update. And he came over there and he was trying to work. So he was there and she got bored, so she went back. And then he met another girl, and she's pretty hot, at least from the outside, because I used to live with. Keep in mind that I used to live with these two women and this guy together. It was kind of like a weird living arrangement, I guess. So so he kind of got the thing for her, and then he got her pregnant. So then now the whole plan was, okay, I'm going to marry her. But little did she know that he also has a girlfriend, and the girlfriend came back. So now he's living with his girlfriend, and he's got this lady he's got pregnant, and she's and so like, so what are you thinking? Like, what the heck here? How's that supposed to be working, right? So, and then after that, so then I don't know. He kept having like all these relationships and these like variety of random trysts with different women and whatever. And then he eventually had to marry that woman that he got pregnant, that he met at his job. He has two or three other kids with her again. So now I think obviously it's set in stone. But the point is that, I mean, he's a pretty good looking guy. He's pretty tall. He's from New Zealand, so everybody wants to go to New Zealand. And I don't really care about spilling the tea about this guy, because I don't really care, and I've never seen him for many years. But I just want to share with you that story. And maybe I'm going to kind of say something that I'm not going to say I'm going to regret, but it's very kind of an unpopular opinion about how a lot of foreigners will come to Asia, and they have kind of this this privilege. Like they think that they're kind of number one, and all these people they're trying to learn from them. They're trying to learn English, and they're trying to catch up to them, like there's some type of like Coolio superstar dude from Hollywood or something. But lo and behold, or the thing is that they're just normal. They're just this guy. They go back home. My ex roommate, he used to like work in a cell phone shop. Like that's all that he's got back there. But then as soon as he comes to Asia, he's like super English man. And I don't know what it is. I just feel like, because I'm Canadian, I feel almost compelled to not really exposed, because I mean, you got to do whatever you got to do, right? If you can't get a job in your own place, or if you are not socializing with people as much as you probably could, based on that you are whatever, just a normal guy. I hesitate to use the phrase loser back home, because that's like, wow, that makes me sound like I'm a loser too. But I'm not. I hope not. I have a nice self-esteem. I have a good self-esteem. And it's almost like people will just keep like going on that. They'll keep staying and show like, yeah, I'm special. And they refuse to kind of integrate into the society here. And I mean, it's their prerogative. That's fine if that's what they want to do. But like, is there any future in that, right? Some people will try to make a restaurant once they're done English teaching. Some people will try to make something else. I met up with a guy who was doing he's a web designer, like doing some websites or something like that. And for years and years, I've been trying to figure out how to kind of integrate this whole like technology thing into like my new workflow, because I'm an English teacher, and I don't know how sick I am of English teaching, to be honest with you. I mean, I like it, and it does pay well, but there's kind of, it's, except for like I can offer my services as a manager to my boss. Like other than that, I don't know. And maybe there's a clear sign, because today's Saturday, yesterday was Friday, and two of my coworkers that I was working with, they quit. And it's it's kind of sad in a way for them, just because they work really hard, right? And Asians working in Asia, they're like horses. I think probably Japan is like the best example, because you go there and you go to work, and you're there from like there's all these different sayings. Like in China, they say like 996. In Japan, they say 7-Eleven. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. And what is it that you're doing? Like you go to your work, and you're there, you're pretending to work because the boss is watching you, and you're not really doing anything. But you stay there until it's like 5 or 6 o'clock, and then everybody says, oh yeah, we're gonna go have dinner with the boss after. And nobody can leave until the boss leaves. And there's sort of kind of like all of these like unwritten rules and stuff that like I don't like. So this is probably why I enjoy my job as an English teacher, because it's like I'm living outside. I'm like on the fringe, where you don't necessarily have to acclimatize to the rules that all the other regular people have to follow, because you're just like, oh yeah, you're just that weird English teacher that doesn't understand the culture at all, right? And regrettably, I've actually made a video about this before, about how 20 years ago I had the opportunity to learn Chinese Mandarin, and I didn't take it. I'm kicking myself in the butt for that. It was actually in Korea. So the language of for me to learn Chinese Mandarin was through Korean. And would I necessarily be successful at that? I don't know. We'll never know. But if I could go back in time and then go meet my whatever-year-old self and say, hey, don't skip out on this opportunity, it's an amazing opportunity for you, then I probably would. A little bit more kind of information about me right now. I'm kind of like really focused on the things that I'm trying to do. So like Mandarin is a thing that I need to really, really integrate myself. And even though, I think the biggest problem for me with Chinese Mandarin is that in different places they kind of have their their own versions. Like Beijing people speak like this, and Shanghai people speak like this, and blah blah blah. All these different places, right? And it's almost like I just need to find what the standard is. What is it that everybody says, so I could just copy that and then do that. And if that's my biggest advice about things for foreigners, is that if you're going to be learning whatever language, then you need to focus on what the standard is, and that's what I'm definitely going to do. And I actually decided as well that I'm going to kind of bite the bullet and start learning Japanese too, because if you look at my streaming services, my live streaming services, all of the TV shows that I'm watching are all Japanese. And why is it that I'm wasting my time with subtitles? Subtitles are garbage. You just keep watching them and you're looking at the subtitles. So yeah, you get the story, but then as soon as the subtitles are gone, now you can't even enjoy that show anymore. And every time that I go to Japan, I got to find like some place that has like the subtitles. This is ridiculous, right? So, I was actually watching this movie. I think it's called Made in Korea. Probably a new movie about some like Indian girl who like goes to Korea, and I just fast forwarded through most of it because half of it is in I guess it's her native language, might be Hindi, but she's using a translator to talk to like some old lady in Korean and blah blah blah. The point is that it made me feel a little bit nostalgic, but at the same time it made me feel like could you imagine that there's some people out there, especially in 2026, they're using technology to bridge the gap for their relationship. They don't know how to talk to each other just talking like this. So they just use some type of devices or gadgets or something to communicate with each other. And I hate that. I really do. That's a really big pet peeve of mine. So that's another reason why I feel that, I'm starting to read more and I'm going to study more and find out whatever things that are necessary, the skills that are necessary to kind of make me have like a level up. And what it used to be before, it was like, okay, well, you got to learn some programming languages. Like you learn your Python, or you learn your C, or you learn your, I don't know, whatever the other, can't even think of the programming languages off the top of my head right now, but you got some people who spend 5 years of their life busting their butt trying to like learn all of these coding languages through all these websites and whatever. And in the last 10 years, all of that whole skill set has just become obsolete because now we just have AI to just go do it for us, right? With coding, there's like things like if statements and while loops and putting the dots in the right place and the semicolons and why do we even need to care about all that stuff anymore when we have AI to go do it for us? I just say, hey, here's my code. They just go look at the code and just make it correct. That's all, right? And then even then, it probably might not work. And you're going to have somebody that actually has to go into there and debug the code and then fix it for you. But at the same time, right now, I think that AI is just going to basically, do that whole job for us. So can you imagine like you have a whole team that does like a project or something like that, and it used to take like 10 programmers to finish this game or finish this project or whatever it is, but now it only takes you 48 hours plugging all of your vibe coding stuff in, and the product is basically 90% done, and all you have to do is just get somebody to work out all the kinks, debug the code, and then now you have a viable product that you can sell on the market. I mean, that to me is like really insane, right? So, as an English teacher, you got to figure out like what is it that's your end game. And I think that a lot of us, like what we do is we just kind of sit back and say like, I'm doing okay. Maybe if you're kind of really ambitious, then you might say, okay, well, I'm going to go learn coding, or I'm going to make my own English school or whatever it is, right? I was actually looking, I asked AI, I said, what is the smallest city with the least amount of English schools in all of Taiwan? And it gave me some name, and I won't tell you because I'm probably going to say it wrong anyway. But it's like this small itty bitty town in the middle of Taiwan, and it only has like 2 major schools there. And I think, that could be a place where you can get a chance, at least. Because, I guarantee you, if you're going to be, well, I know one guy who's successful at doing that, opening up his own English school over in Taipei, and he does pretty well. But he only has like one franchise location. I won't mention his school, but I think, as far as I know, I think his system is like one of the best, because he teaches the reading, the writing, the listening, the speaking, like all four. And if you know already that is what your kind of niche is, or it's not even a niche, but it's like a system. Everybody's like kind of like looking for a system where they say, okay, I'm going to take you from zero and get you to go through our 10-step system and blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to be able to speak English, right? And it's kind of like, because they feel more confident that you will kind of take them there if you can demonstrate that. If you have some students already who can speak English already because they've been tagging around you for like the last like 5, 6, 7 years, then they even feel more impressed by that, right? But yeah, I don't want to say that necessarily it was a mix of luck, but he's like really ingrained in like where he is. And if you look at the place where he's at, there's like this gigantic school right beside his place, and there's like 10 cram schools for English, maybe even like 15 or something, like all in that same area. So what I'm saying, guys, is that if you're going to be, going over to Taipei or whatever and trying to like open your own English school, like really good luck with that. You better have like something that really like razzle dazzles like all of the people. And I was thinking maybe to do like one of like those pop-up schools or like whatever, because what you can actually do in Taiwan is you can rent out a space and then say, okay, this is for my school, and we're only using it on Saturday and Sunday. Advertise to everybody that this is Mike's English, which you can't take that. That's already trademarked in Taiwan, but and it's not mine, and I don't care. You could, and just as long as enough people know about that in your school, then you can, you go ahead, right? But there's kind of a lot of caveats to this type of thinking, this idea. First of all, like one of my coworkers said to me that people want a location. They want to be able to say, okay, well, this is the place where I go to school. And even if it's closed on Mondays or whatever day it is, like they pass by there and say, okay, that's that school, right? But if you are just renting a temporary place, then you don't have that luxury. You can't say, okay, well, this is my school or whatever, right? Because on Saturday and Sunday, that might be your school. But on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's Claire's Nails or something. And on Friday and Saturday, it's Mr. Billy's Taco Lounge or something. They're using it for something else. So using that temporary location is not necessarily 100% shoe-in, 100% great way in order to make your business as an English teacher. But there's got to be another way. I'm, a little bit later, I might even get back on here, doing a little bit more of these, podcasts, or, just talking about the things that I'm doing. I think that one thing is for sure is you need to probably pivot in the way that you are thinking about your job in the next 5, maybe 7 years. I do have another story really quickly about a guy I used to know who he graduated and he had a bachelor's in social work. And social work is really great because you have this ability to help people who can't really help themselves. But one day he decided when he was working at the hospital that he wanted to pick up this book about C programming, and now he does programming for databases or something. Now he's kind of an anomaly, somebody who is not in the norm where everybody's going to go ahead and follow his example and just go do it. But it's there, right? I do have another programmer friend of mine who lives in the middle of Taiwan, and I might ask him a little bit more advice about this. But he's a programmer. He's not in a job right now, and he's got a family, and I hope that he's going to do way better. But he really needs to kind of buckle down and figure out like how he can make his technical skills work. And probably I'm gonna do a little bit of brainstorming with him about talking about some more ideas, and maybe we'll have something on the table. I'm not really working with him formally. I'm just trying to figure out how I can kind of bridge the gap between English teaching and technology. I was kind of like really in it about, I'm going to make some app or something, right? And they have these kind of like app maker things for like vibe coding where you can take your ideas and then just throw it in there, and then it'll just make some type of app for you. And it costs you like 25 or $30 a month or whatever it